Welcome back to the Wedge. My name is Justin. Have you ever played Tetris before? I think you have, because it's basically on everything, even your calculator. But there's one version in particular that I'm quite intrigued by, Tetris Effect. Probably the closest thing to that Zen-like state that we come to know and love about Tetris since its Game Boy Advance origins. Game Boy. I'm not here to claim that I'm a Tetris aficionado. I don't necessarily claim that I even have the skills to play Tetris at any competitive level, but I do know Tetris Effect is probably the coolest version of Tetris you can play aside from Tetris 99, because those are two completely different standards for a game. One is celebrating the Zen state that you find when you play a Tetris game, while Tetris 99 brings its competitive nature to a top-boil battle royale experience. Of course, there's a problem with both versions of these games. Tetris Effect is a game only available on PlayStation 4. Meanwhile, Tetris 99 is exclusive to the Nintendo Switch. Moreover, there's a feature with Tetris Effect about virtual reality that requires, of course, a PSVR headset. I don't have really any reason to purchase a PSVR headset when I have my own perfectly fine headset. The real question is, what's possible to get this VR headset playing Tetris? And moreover, what kind of version of Tetris would we even bother playing on a system like this? I think I have the right answer. For those of you who are unaware, Tetris was a very popular game, of course, but it has some weird origins in its past, which required eventually a company called Tetris Holdings to actually carry out most of the management of the Tetris property. There's one version of Tetris, though, that's actually quite interesting. And it's interesting because it's a system that not a lot of people have played on, and of course, that means it's a version of the game that's unique in its own special way. So yes, the Philips CDI was a legendary system for its infamy because it basically spawned the Sony PlayStation. And of course, it brought out some of the worst titles for the Legend of Zelda and Mario franchises because of their legendary animation quality.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah. Probably one of the most interesting topics about the CDI version of Tetris is typically the fact that it has such a strange aesthetic and a soundtrack to it that really doesn't fit in the typical grand scheme of Tetris games with their Russian origins and whatnot, but it brings to it a serene experience, the likes of which no other version of Tetris necessarily achieves. The repetition of the legendary track that makes Tetris's theme is rather jarring after you hear it for 1,000 times. I love the complaints on this in particular video in this Reddit post. That guy sucks. Anyone ever play Columns on Sega CD? Seriously, I was raging at how bad he was. From the description, this is a video showing the game in action, purposely delaying certain actions or not clearing certain lines to prolong the playing of the music. Luckily nowadays you can just listen to the music thanks to soundtrack uploads from various people on YouTube. And that of course brings us to today's topic. How are we playing a game like Tetris for the CDI on our PC with our VR headset? Well, the process is a little bit cumbersome, and unfortunately it took me much longer than it needed to get set up. But with a number of programs that I have in action, we're going to be able to figure this out. So the first problem, of course, was finding the kind of emulator that would even run the game. There are unfortunately not too many options. There's this tiny CDI, which was meant to be added on top of the MES emulator, which eventually was merged into the MAME emulator. Then, of course, there is also the CDI emulator, which is a piece of payware, unfortunately, but the process of using it is typically pretty functional, other than the fact that at some point it will just completely lock up and not let you even proceed. And then, of course, there is MAME, which is probably the most capable version of a CDI emulator that you can get right now. The unfortunate truth is, CDI emulation has not been to the kind of levels that some other systems like the 3DO and Atari Jaguar have achieved, simply because those systems have some unique and far more desirable games, not to mention the complications of the CDI, their continued failure rate, and the kind of legacy that that system has, means that not a lot of priority was put on getting that system to emulate correctly. 3DO has plenty of titles that I would love to talk about one of these days. So yes, MAME64 is pretty much the only real option we have when it comes to running Tetris for the CDI on our PC. Full disclaimer, a lot of the software that ran on the Philips CDI can be had pretty much free. Yes, it is piracy, but at this point it is also abandonware. I don't think Philips has any interest in bringing back a CDI classic like Nintendo and Sega are trying to do. So with a little bit of work here, we can just go right into the MAME folder and we will have our access right here, right now. Now, before I even kick anything off, I'm going to type things in and get this sorted. CDI mono 1 with CD-ROM file of E CDI MAME ROMs Tetris.q. Now, first things first, we're going to kick off our VR headset, and most importantly, turn on Steam VR. Display VR view. Hey, there you are. Oh yeah. We've got this by the ass. So obviously I have Steam VR loaded on my display here, and for some reason it's not facing the correct direction. Wonder if I could ever fix that. But what we're going to do, in fact, is not do anything in here. We're going to go ahead and launch big screen inside of the system. But why is it facing that way? Hey, okay. Just go ahead and skip that, go right into the void. Oh, there we go. Cool. And it's basically working right now. Well, what is that front page here? Let's... clean the headset. Oh, whoa. Be more like the introduction scene to Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Okay, here we go, though. So we're going to go over here. You can obviously see we have our command here. It should be just ready to go. So once I hit enter, this should just launch. No. Oh. Yes, there are known problems with this machine. You might notice visuals a little weird. They're actually bulging out. This is because I have it set to a CRT filter mode, I believe. Oh yeah, it doesn't like me alt-tabbing. That went fast. Yeah, this is blinding to say the least. Also definitely coming up in that same way on the monitor here, so that's great. And here we go, some high-definition compact disc interactive technology. Let's go ahead, change my seat time to like... yeah, make it 5 seconds. That should be fine. We're gonna go ahead and hit the play button. Need to lower the volume on that high-definition Philips interactive technology. This is gonna clip my ears out. Tetris, man. But not just any version of Tetris. This is Tetris with a mouse. If you've ever played Tetris with a mouse, you know how bad that is. But imagine playing with a mouse that's been emulated using the Philips CDI. That soundtrack right off the bat. Let's just go. Check it out. I've made my peace. This is life now. This is eternity. You will never see me play another game. I'm just playing this one forever. I'm incredible. That's the thing. Well, it would help if my mouse ever actually worked. Maybe if I switch to gamer mode. Yeah, max out those hertz on the mouse, dude. Gotta overclock your mouse sensitivity. I need another L block to be able to clear those lines. Oh god, what have I done? Again, this is... playing with a mouse is not optimal in any way, shape, or form. I kind of wish I could map the controls differently, but settings are not made to be able to do that for some reason. Oh no, what have you guys done to me? I'm screwed. I have to just fill in the space. What am I doing? Yeah, welcome to the wedge, where we can't play Tetris. If you want a great example of how classic Tetris could be problematic, check out Nick Robinson's video about how a classic Tetris player plays Tetris Effect. It's interesting because a lot of those mechanics kind of carry over, except where you get at least a little bit of leeway in the NES version, there is no space for mistakes on the 3DO or CDI version of Tetris, rather. You have one shot to make your move correctly, and if you screw it up, too bad. You should have been prepared from the get-go. You shouldn't have had your controller be a mouse and a keyboard. They didn't even provide a mouse and keyboard for the system. How are you doing this? You've hacked us. Philips is going to come after me for playing their 1992 version of Tetris on an emulation system, because they really, really think that anyone cares about the CDI. It's genuinely the soundtrack that makes this version of the game. There's pretty much no other reason to play this version of the game, because it performs, you know, terribly, honestly. My dream is that one day this is actually acknowledged by the Tetris and Holding Company, because this is a version of Tetris that deserves to be respected and remembered. The soundtrack is excellent in its own way. The graphics in the background are astonishing, honestly. Like, if there was one thing that the CDI was good on, it was making quality pictures and imagery. In the few instances where it was being used as, you know, a games console, the games that used its graphics accordingly look impressive, to say the least. Not incredible, obviously. It's still the CDI with Hotel Mario, among other such classics. But it is still a version of Tetris that is worth a lot more time and respect than people give it. Okay, so here's some unfortunate news. This is a bad rip of the game, so probably it's going to die when I try to get much further in this. So I'm currently on speedrun territory. Just clear all the lines you can. No, I've screwed everything up. Well, can I just end this game quickly? No, it still died. Oh, wow. Doesn't even matter. Once you get to that stage, you're pretty much screwed. Okay. Watch out for a follow-up on my Lenovo Explorer headset review because I'm. But yes, that was Ghetto Tetris Effect, basically. Honestly, the CDI version of Tetris is a fantastic experience, and if you haven't had the opportunity to play it, I would highly suggest looking into it. The complicated setup of getting the CDI emulation going is one problem that might not make it worth it, but in terms of its quality, it genuinely is one of the most unique Tetris experiences among the Tetris franchise. And if you haven't had an opportunity to play it, I would definitely suggest checking it out. I hope one of these days we get some type of mods for Puyo Puyo Tetris or something that brings all that stuff in to where you can have that nostalgic experience of the 1990s. But yes, with all that said, thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, maybe you can subscribe for some future content, and of course, follow me on various feeds. Tetris, Twitter, Tumblr, Twitch, YouTube, of course, and slowly going to have even more, we will see. But with all that said, again, thank you all for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic day and night cycle, and we will see you all next time in the stratosphere.